Good morning, dear students. Today's our topic is classroom management in working with young learners. Teachers' roles in teaching young learners. Interaction modes in teaching young learners. We have also keywords: classroom management, teacher's role, young learners, interaction, interaction modes, abilities, attitudes. Different viewpoints of classroom management. Classroom management is one of the fundamental and professional skills of the foreign language teachers. Its ability to organize and inspire a class, the learning activity of students. It's easy for teachers to do if its learners are motivated, energetic, and they have interests for learning. If a task is adequate for learners, they do it with the interests and desire. The term of classroom management is usually used by teachers, serves to organize a teaching process. It describes a teaching process and also is used to prevent the disruptive behavior of learners. If there is no such a behavior of learners at lesson, then lesson run smoothly. But the problem is this area aroused if a teacher this is not well prepared. It has no experience in classroom management. Analysis of different viewpoints of this problem show that the monitoring and control of process of teaching and learning in the classroom plays a very important role in achieving efficiency in teaching. Another effective creation of classroom management is a teacher's personal knowledge regarding educational psychology. A large part of traditional classroom management involves behavior modification. So, some teachers prefer to establish a special rules behavior at the beginning of school year. It can be classroom rules, group rules, it can be all kind of rules which include the several classroom management. In our point of view, such as procedures and rules give students concrete direction and guarantee discipline and effective classroom management. In teachers try to be consistent in enforcing these rules. But when these rules are not followed, there are appear negative consequences which cause difficulties in classroom management between student and the teacher. So teachers spend much time to keep discipline in classroom, and this shows poor classroom management, which leads to lower rate of learning. If learners are involved in active work by motivating or clear management skills, they are inspired and show good and clear management behavior. This is of course leads to good academic results in learning foreign languages. Creating plentiful language atmosphere or environment in the class also one of the main factors in classroom management. You know, especially in Uzbekistan, our classroom managements, like a teacher, you can manage your class with your rules, with your specific rules. At the beginning of the year, you can put on the board your rules, or you can write, they can write also to their notebook the rules. You can explain them, the rules. We come to the job with our personalities already formed, but there are abilities, attitudes, we can be learned and worked on. As a teacher of young learners, it helps a lot of you have sense of humor. You are open-minded, adaptable, patient. But even if you are silent, the reserved type, you can work on your attitudes and abilities. For example, we have some factors, abilities. We are not brilliant English or music teachers like Mrs. Jolly, Mrs. Susan, but most of us can learn to sing or even play musical instrument. We have also attitudes. Respect your pupils. You should be realistic to your students. you know, what they can manage at individual level, what they can manage in a group work, in a task work, then your expectation will be realistic too. Helping children to feel secure. Once children feel secure and content in the classroom, they can be encouraged to become independent, adventurous in the learning of the language. Respect your pupil. Always respect your pupil. You have to be a friend with your pupil, especially with your students. Whenever a pupil is trying to tell you something, please listen to them. First, ask question. And if they ask question from you, you have to listen to them and answer. Accept whatever she or he says with mistakes as well. You know, you should never correct their mistakes. You should create a friendly atmosphere in the classroom. The physical surroundings also, this is the main factors. Physical surroundings, especially for the young children, respond well to surroundings which are pleasant and familiar. Physical surroundings, especially during your classes, you have to be friend with them and you have to do like movement activities, you know, singing activities. Then a lot of teachers, they prefer to, with the young learners, to have their lessons more predictable, more interesting. You have to pay attention for the arranging desk also. For example, sometimes you will not be able to change how the desks are arranged in some classrooms, but some classrooms you can change. For example, some classroom you can put the desks or tables in the middle like a circle, 3 circles, like a 3 groups. They can work together in a 3 groups in a circle once, yes? But sometimes you may have to make one arrangement which you cannot change. But sometimes you can put the children like, you know, on the one row, one line. Okay, you can put the desks also in a one row on a one line. Grouping children, it's very also important. Pay attention to keep in mind that not all children will take and want to pair work with the group mates. But sometimes you have to be very careful with some kind of, you know, low students, and we have excellent mark students. You have to pay attention. Sometimes they're picky. They don't want to sit with their partner. They want to sit alone. That's why you have to be very friendly and you have to ask him why you are not walking with him. What's wrong with you? You have to ask. You have to create a friendly atmosphere. And you know, you have to be careful with you know, when you kids, when you elementary school levels, or have to say secondary school level students, sometimes they're very friendly also. Sometimes they, maybe when they're 7 years or 6 years or 8 years, they're often happy working alone. They're not willing to work with some group mates. That's why you have to be very careful. They will want to keep all the cards, read the books alone, play with all the toys in the English corners. Cooperation is something which has to be treated and learned. So, or if your pupil have been to kindergarten or play school, they are already part of the class because they have an experience to work with them, you know. They can work together like a group work, like a task work, like a teamwork. Yes, this is also one main factor that pair work is a very useful and efficient way of working in language teaching. In explain, you know, I can explain a simple way. It's simple, organized, or easy to explain. And group work should not be attempted before the children are used to working with them. You know, group work, you can divide them into 5, 4, or sometimes 3 groups. You can divide them into 2 groups, but you have to be careful because they shouldn't cheating each other. That's why you have to be very careful. Let pupils who are sitting near each other work together. Sometimes they can do pair work also. Don't move desks sometimes, or chairs should only be moved absolutely necessary. Group work. As I mentioned before, everything which has been said about pair work also, it includes group work also. It can apply to group work also. We cannot put children into groups and give them exercise or assume that it will work. They can do a lot of project work. Sometimes they can do project. All the project works you can organize with them. First you can divide into the groups, like 2 groups, 3 groups. Sometimes you cannot even know the names of the group. That's why before beginning the group works or team works, you have to give them names. Sometimes you can give them the choice to create or to choose the names for the group. Sometimes from my lessons, sometimes I can give the, you can pick the colors, or you can pick the flowers. They can pick any kind of colors or flower, then they put their names to their group. If your pupils are not used to working in group in other classes, or they don't naturally develop a group identity as they may do if they are sitting permanently in a group arrangement, then you can introduce them gradually to group work. Start by having teaching groups which you teach separately from the rest of the class. This allows you to give some pupils more individual attention, especially after your class. You can talk, the lower students who want to work with individually. You can give them tasks and you can talk with them. What is your problem? What is task? What is it, do you have some kind of, misunderstanding with the sim? You can solve after the class, not during the class, Be careful and take care about your children also. And always, there are always some, limited numbers. The limited numbers, not all numbers, limited numbers in the group to between 3 and 5, not 6 or 7. Who work with whom? Children should not be allowed to choose their groups, partly because young children, because sometimes they want to work with their friends, Sometimes they want to stay alone. This takes a lot of time, but sometimes if you are rushed, you can choose them, you can divide them. But sometimes, but mainly sometimes, because usually means someone is left out. Sometimes they don't like the group, they don't like the class, they don't want to work with them. They like, pretend that, oh, I want to sit over here, I don't want to work with them. No, you have to talk with them, talk with individually, and let them work together. If your pupils sit in a groups all the time, they don't want to do the pair work, you have to work with them, talk with them. You have to do pair work also, not always with the groups, not always with the teams. You can think or first do pair work, then you have to work with your team. There is no reason why pupils should not be moved about from time to time. That's why sometimes you have to move them. You have to give them physical exercise or physical songs, physical movements. You can pretend that they are in the kindergarten. Even, in my class, even the students, they can pretend that they're kindergarten kids or young children, but they're students, they like them. You have, at the beginning, as I told, you have to be very careful with the classroom language also. Sometimes, they misunderstand the language. Maybe they don't know language. Maybe they know language. That's why the communication the part of the process of learning, especially foreign languages, as well as part of the process is growing up. Then the sooner the pupils learn simple, simple and meaningful expressions, English, the easier it will be for them. A very important way of helping pupils progress from dependence on the independence. For teacher to independence is give them a necessary tools. One of the tool is classroom language. Not always is the main tool will be book. No, one of the main tool will be classroom language. For example, few children of 5 will admit they don't know the answer to the question. Will they ask for more information? If they don't understand what they have to do, very often they will just do what they think you want them to do. So, teaching them phrases like I'm sorry, I don't know, or I don't understand help their development in their language. Their ability to communication meaningful in the classrooms and elsewhere. There are, some features of the classroom management. The term like positive classroom management is justified with 4 factors: spiritual dimension, physical dimension, and instructional dimension, managerial dimension. We will begin with the spiritual dimension. Is usually understood how teachers regard their students. Teachers should make their lessons interesting so that the learners do not feel sleepy at the lesson. Teachers must love their job. They should enjoy themselves having a lesson, and this makes the lesson more interesting. Teachers who look fed up with what are they doing tend to have a negative effect on their students. Teachers should have good knowledge not only of their subject but also of other subjects related to their specialty. Experienced teachers take more effort to ensure that the quiet, shy students also get a chance to take part in a conversation during the lesson. Most students think that a good teacher is a teacher who asks students, who don't always put their hands up, who asks students, pay attention for the words, who asks students. See, the students, they never, sometimes the shy students also, they sit like this. No, you have to raise your hands. If you are shy, you know that. They will not ask. That's why teacher should be very careful. They have to ask with the shy students. And also, a good teacher is able to correct learners' mistakes without offending them. You shouldn't say, no, you are not right, stop here. No, you should be very friendly. You should be very soft in a soft voice, in a polite voice. You have to ask them, do you understand? Or what's wrong with you? A teacher also should able to catch up what is appropriate for particular student in particular situation. Sometimes, teachers, sometimes they ask some kind of questions. This is not true. This is not correct. They have to ask appropriate question in appropriate class. Good teachers skillfully use a particular methods of teaching in the time when it's needed and appropriate for particular situation. Good teachers are able to know the productive ways, have productive ways, methods, the new technological or pedagogical methods and means of activity. Use them skillfully in the organizing teaching. There are a lot of activities. I can give some of them right here because before I teach integrate skills, and we do a lot of activities like the group work, pair work, or individual work, you know. In a group work, I always divide them for 3 or 2 groups, you know. They begin project work from the beginning of the class, you know. They do poster presentations or like a slide presentation, all kind of presentations they can do, you know. Not only for the group works, they can present. For the beginning, I will explain all the rules, you know, all the rules of the project work. Sometimes it lasts 2 weeks, maybe even a month. I did with them a recipe book. This is also very big, you know, kind of project, you know. I first divided them into groups and then explained all the rules, and I give them the, you know, all the necessary things, you know, posters, all kind of, you know, tools, and they began the working process. But now, you know, but at the end of the after 3 or 2 weeks, maybe after a month, they can produce, they can present their own works. You know, that's why this kind of all project works, you know, it helps people to improve their language skills. Sometimes low students, they sit like this. Sometimes you can, you know, push them. Oh, you are motivate them. Oh, you are doing good. Oh, you are doing well. That's why sometimes you have to motivate them and give them, you know, applause sometimes. That will motivate your students. And, you know, in my experience, I have also when I used to work in a school, I have one student who got always 2 marks or 3 marks, and I began, you know, give her 4, sometimes 5. Even she did small things, but you know, time to time she changed it. She began working with the class, with the group mates, and did your works. That's why the motivation also is very good experience. From my experience, I can say this is a very main tool for the classroom management. And in the conclusion, you know, classroom management, it helps you always to organize your groups, organize your class, give them works, give them tasks, do, you know, all the in time, do the tasking in times, on times, you know, whatever. That's why classroom management in teacher's role, it's very important. For example, I gave already some my own, have to say, experience examples. Now we can give the classroom management, as I said at the beginning, one of the fundamental professional skills, especially foreign language teachers. You know, this is not easy for the language teachers, especially because they're not teaching the same subject. They're giving the new words every day, learning or teaching them, giving new tasks, new works, new exercise. That's why this kind of ability to organize or inspire class to learning activity of students. As I said, you have a lot of activity, use them. Don't be afraid, don't be shy. Work with your students, work with your pupils, give them opportunity to work together, give them opportunity to, you know, show themselves at the, as I said, the project works, individual presentations, and you know, then you will be like them the hero of your, students, hero of teacher. That's why classroom management is very important tool in my lesson class. Thank you very much, dear students. Thanks for your attention.